Yeah, so as I said before, as far as I'm concerned, the floor is open for questions or comments of the last webinar we did together. We do have a videotape of that entire webinar that's available through the Trager Institute. Linda, how do they access that video?
So as of like 5 minutes ago, it was put up on the main website, tragerus.org. It's on the very front page. You can't miss it. So it's ready for you to see and watch there. So we're happy to have that.
Okay, step forward, anybody who would like. What question marks did you bring today?
This is Gail.
Hi, Gail. Oh, my goodness, glad to see you.
Yeah.
You look well.
I don't have a question right yet, but I do want to say that in the Pilates classes and yoga classes I'm taking, I'm very much aware of my Golgi apparatus now. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, yeah. That is absolutely key to those movement disciplines and movement in general. I mean, I may do much more expanded webinar, perhaps next time, on getting a little deeper into that whole gamma system, the spindles and the Golgis, because I've had trouble attracting students to that class in the past because they go, well, I don't even know what the Golgi is. Why would I want to take that? Well, the Golgi system is absolutely key to understanding the interplay between the conscious mind and unconscious established habits that are the main barriers to opening up freedom of movement. And if we don't have something of a handle on that system, there's so much we don't understand about what people are struggling with
yeah.
What they bring to the table and what they bring to movement classes.
So just the awareness of it, the function of it, the awareness of that function is changed my relationship to the pain.
Absolutely.
You know, and so it'll help me. Yeah. So it'll help me to understand why it's so important to be gradual and easeful and insistent in a way, you know.
Right. That is the system that allows us to adapt to new patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me just toss out the question. Would that be an interesting webinar after these 3 study groups are over? Or even perhaps in the interim, we can do a webinar at a different day, different time on the gamma system.
Which to me, so let's put it in the pot for possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can have that rather quickly developed with a slideshow and my lecture notes. So I'm just tossing that out there. Was that something that would be attractive for the next webinar for people?
I keep seeing a lot of yeses in the chat.
Okay, great, great, great. Well, let's go with that.
Thanks, Deane.
Yeah.
Deane, may I follow up on that? This is Roger.
Oh, hi, Roger.
By the way, you look great today.
Thank you so much.
Your lighting and all.
I did a little upgrading on my lighting here. Yeah.
Yes, I can see, and that's great. The gamma system. I wonder if you might be able to just talk a little bit now, although it might be part of that whole webinar you want to talk about, but particularly.
Well, I had anticipated there would be questions about that because I really only touched on it briefly in this past webinar, but yeah, sure, I'm happy to.
So the thing I'm sort of curious about is if you might be able to talk about the way in which our hands-on work interacts with that system. I know that's a broad kind of question, but it's in some ways it's more less about the what is that system and how does it function, and more about how do our hands bring about usefulness through the way in which we work. Gail alluded to that about, going slowly and being persistent. And I just wanted to, get a little hit about some more hints about how those things relate.
Well, when we are relating to a client's holding patterns while they're on the table or while we're guiding them through mentastics, the gamma system is the memory recorder of persistent habituations that we have all set up for ourselves. And I see Milton's work as just uniquely designed to interact directly with that unconscious habituation system, which is the gamma system. And so all of the coaxing movements, I use that word coaxing so much in my classes, that you can't bully the unconscious. You've got to make nice with it. And every movement and every toss of a ripple through the flesh, every long, slow elongation that we're doing, all of that is like the movement systems that the lady just previously spoke to, is about reaching the unconscious so those persistent habituated patterns get coaxed into allowing a little more length, allowing a little more space, allowing a little more range of movement in a restricted shoulder or low back or foot complex, whatever that may be. Milton used to say all the time that if we don't reach the unconscious mind, and I'm not sure he knew he was referring to the gamma system largely when he said that, but if we don't reach that system that's largely unconscious, remember one of my 90% that I put up on the chalkboard last time was that 90% of our systems of motor control happen on this unconscious level. The only thing I've got immediately control of is my intention. I want to do this. I'm about to do that. What we immediately run into is habituated restrictive patterns that only allow me to partially follow through on that intention, because my habituated habits have set certain contractile patterns up, certain limits of range of motion have been set up. And if we can't get out of that familiar ground of how it's always been for me, there's no way to negotiate broader movement, freer movement, more pleasure through the tissue. And I think our work, more than any other that I can think of, is specifically designed to that coaxing of the unconscious mind and bringing some of that vast unconscious control mechanism, which is the gamma system, up into consciously felt experience. So we are teaching people to access that self-regulatory, open-ended refinement exploration through the table work and through the mentastics to get those habituated patterns to release and open up the possibility of freer movement, wider movement, more efficient movement. And what we're introducing them to, hopefully the baton is handed off, is the realization that it doesn't all happen on the table. It doesn't all just happen in whatever mentastics we're able to give them when we get them up. What we're introducing them to is a lifetime of paying attention, refining, understanding, struggling with a yoga asana or what have you, that they have to continually negotiate with those unconscious settings and those unconscious habituations. And noticing is something as simple as noticing when you're standing is your weight in your heels and not on the ball of your foot. Because if it's on the ball of your foot, all of your back muscles from heel on up to occiput have to flex to keep you from falling forward. If people start doing this memory drill of just, oh, am I on my heels? All of that back tension relaxes. And that's just one example I'm tossing out. But through whatever movement they're doing in their daily lives, whatever postural issues they're dealing with as they come out of the holes they've dug for themselves, we're teaching them that they have the agency, the capacity to access that habituation system and start introducing new intentions, new refinements, new efficiencies. And so to be able to give clients some understandable sketch, this is part of what I hope we talk about more in these study groups, is how do we simplify the language of all that science so that it is an understandable concept? And I do this in great care and volume with my clients. I mean, I've got my books out on the floor, and when I want them to be able to see a structure and understand how it's put together.
Yeah.
When I want them to understand something about this coaxing negotiation